everybody. Today we're talking with Kimberly, who hates liver, loves brown butter almond brittle ice cream, and might be mistaken for Andie MacDowell. Her nickname is Tex, and she once worked at NASA in the Space Shuttle office. She wishes she was Scandinavian, but today she's talking to us about her trip to Cambodia. So welcome, Kimberly.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, Kimberly. So we're going to start the 7-minute timer.
Yes.
So tell us about why you chose Cambodia.
You know, when I planned my trip to Cambodia, it was a little bit of a whim. I just decided that I thought it would be a cool thing to do to sail down each of the, major riverways in the world. And I had an opportunity to take a cruise on the Mekong. Nobody wanted to go with me, so I said, that's fine,
Right.
I'll go.
Right.
And the timing ended up being pretty poignant for me. I lost my mom in June of 2019. And it was a really hard 6 months up to losing her. And my trip was already scheduled for September, and my brothers and my husband said, go, you need to go, you need to have time, go be. And so I went, I took my mom with me, which I know makes some people a little bit uncomfortable, but she did go with me. And so I flew into Siem Reap, and I had a few days in Siem Reap before boarding a cruise that started just outside of Siem Reap and ended in Vietnam.
Oh.
So was a really, really cool experience. And I can't imagine having been in a better place for my first major solo trip after losing my mom than in a beautiful, peaceful Buddhist country. It was really, really special.
That's amazing that you did all of that you took it alone as your first solo trip and took your mom along with you. I think that's beautiful. And Cambodia is such a fascinating country. What is something that surprised you about Cambodia when you were there?
There were a lot of surprises. I do think that I was surprised by the food a little bit. I think that's one of the most interesting things about exploring a new country is the food.
Yeah.
It's with it being so close to Thailand and Vietnam and being more familiar with those cuisines. I think I expected Cambodian food to be, fairly similar, and it's not.
Okay.
Not quite as spicy. I think, there are other foods that are more interesting and flavorful. And I hate to say that, but I did find some really delicious things, there, of course. And, another thing that was really interesting about Cambodia is, like a lot of developing countries, you see such a juxtaposition between poverty and luxury, especially when you're traveling as a tourist. But they really embrace having visitors come in. And in fact, tourism is the #1 industry for Cambodia.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would expect that. Yeah.
That was really, really interesting to see. And they do it really well. They do it really, really well. The service there is fantastic.
Oh, wonderful. So it sounds like a really beautiful trip. So tell us about the day you took the most pictures or wish you'd had your camera along with you.
So I'm really bad at taking photos when I travel. I get so wrapped up in what I'm doing. Fortunately, I had amazing guides who just kind of would take my phone from me and take a lot of pictures. So this is probably the one trip that I have the most pictures of myself on.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm really grateful for folks who think that way and just take your pictures for you.
Yeah.
So I do. I have some of the iconic pictures in the temples. And I would say that's probably where most of my photos that I've kept are from. Just, my days of visiting different temples and seeing the sites that you've always heard about, whether it be Angkor Wat or the Tomb Raider temple. That you think of, Angelina Jolie being in. But yeah, I mean, I actually have plenty of pictures from my entire trip for a change.
This is awesome.
That's
so can you tell us a story about someone you met, a person that you met along your trip?
Sure. I met a lot of really amazing people, which is one of the great things about solo travel.
Yeah.
It gives you an opportunity to meet people you probably wouldn't necessarily. But one really memorable experience that I had was I went out to the Tonle Sap Lake outside of Siem Reap, which is a huge body of water where there are a lot of floating houses.
Okay.
And we took a, tour through the lake to look at the houses. And there is a kind of like a little rest stop almost. I don't know really how to describe it. There's a little restaurant and a little shop where you can buy some, goodies, but you can also go out on a kayak with one of these ladies who will take you through the mangroves. And the person who was our kayak rower was really interesting. It really surprised me to visit with her a little bit. She was not much older than I am. She was in her early 40s, though she definitely looked like, she had worked outdoors and done, manual labor for a good part of her life. And she had a significant number of kids. I feel like she had 6 or 7 children.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And the way that she was supporting her family was by offering these kayak rides through the mangroves.
Wow.
And I just learned that, there were several women, probably 20 or 30 women who do this for a living, and they operate on a pool system. So, it might cost you $5 to take this ride, and then they split it among everybody, and that's how they feed their families.
Wow.
But it was kind of a cool experience. It was one of those things that you go into feeling like it's just this super authentic, off the beaten path experience, because it does have that feel. But then they row you up to like another kayak with a woman and a sleeping toddler selling Pringles.
Right.
And so then you have to buy Pringles from them, and on to the next one, and you buy your snack food from them. But it was a really neat experience.
Yeah, that sounds really great. And you did touch a little bit already on the food, but since you were on a cruise, were most of your meals on the boat, or did you have some unique experiences? Oh, that
Food
wow.
question.
Is that 7 minutes?
Yeah,
That's it.
that,
Can you believe
that
it?
is.
No, because I did have a super cool experience. Although it ended in Vietnam, and that is one of the coolest experiences that I've ever had in any of my travels. So I do hope that people tune in. I'll have to write a post about it.
Yes,
exactly.
please
Tell
do.
them about this
Please
amazing.
do.
Yeah.
They'll
We'd
have
love
to
to hear about
contact
it.
you if they want to hear more about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thanks everyone. That's our 7 minutes. Kimberly shared such a beautiful story about going to Cambodia and taking her mother along, which I find really special. So Cindy and I, though, have a new travel question and answer series. So send us your questions. The link is in the description below. And travel with us through real stories, through real people. Thank you.
Thanks, Kimberly.
Thanks, y'all.